Hi, sixth graders. Today we're going to talk about being solution focused. Now, over the past week or so, we've been talking about how sometimes when changes come, it can be hard to know how to deal with those kind of problems that could arise through changes. So, do you know what it means to be solution focused? Well, remember we have problems, and then the way we can work towards fixing those problems means trying to find a solution. So rather than being stuck thinking about the problem, if we are solution focused, it means we are trying to think of a way to not just fixate on the problem and how that can make us feel bad sometimes, but to work with others or use positive self talk to think about some positives that could come from the situation or how we could fix it. So we know we run into problems every single day. It's just a part of life. And sometimes it could even be little problems or big problems that we could have in our day. So, some examples of things like that could be well, maybe on a daily basis, you could see problems like forgetting your homework. That happens sometimes, even when we are at school or through distance learning, forgetting to do something. It could also look like maybe you spill your drink at home and it causes a mess and you have to figure out how to clean it up, or maybe it gets on something, and that can be a problem sometimes too. Arguments with siblings. I know even for myself, when I lived with my siblings, those kind of things happen and they are problems. Sometimes they could be small, sometimes they could be larger, where you might need an adult to help you. And then maybe another kind of problem that you might see on a daily basis, maybe you want to go outside, but your parents tell you that you can't go outside until your room is cleaned. That can be a problem that you could come into contact with on a daily basis. So, one of the big things that is going to be important, though, even though we see these kind of problems on a daily basis, the first thing you're going to want to do is try to figure out with those problems, okay, how big is this problem really? Is it a small problem, something I think I could figure out on my own in a minute or two? Or is it a big problem that maybe I really am going to need an adult's help because I don't know what to do and I'm very upset, or maybe it's an emergency even? And it's going to be important for you to think about, okay, the size of the problem. Sometimes really taking a minute to think, okay, how long would this take to solve to help me figure out the size of the problem? And then making sure that you compare the size of the problem with the size of your reaction. If it's just a small problem, we want to make sure that our reaction is also a small reaction. If it's just a small problem, maybe it'd be a good opportunity for you to solve it on your own rather than immediately going to an adult to have them solve the problem. But on the other end of the spectrum, if it's a 10, if it's a big emergency, it's okay to know that you can have big emotions sometimes with those big problems. So you're always going to want to make sure to ask yourself, do these two match? Does the size of the problem and the size of my reaction match up together? So the activity you're going to do today is going to be this practice. You just have to choose one of the situations on the next slide, and you're going to brainstorm at least one way that that person could go about positively solving their problems. Think about what good strategies they might be able to use to solve that problem.